But that's, I think, the beauty of Dharma. So Dharma just means Buddhist teachings, is to give us a higher aspiration. Because it's so easy to get caught up in daily life, and it's so easy to think it's all very important, meaningful. But it starts to feel empty after a while, doesn't it? It's like, well, how many times can I do the same thing? Like, how many parties can I go to? How many friends can I make? How many people can I date? How many jobs can I have? How many vacations can I go on? Right? At a certain point, you've kind of done enough things, right, where you know that you're looking for something to make you happy and you're trying to stay away from things that cause suffering. But at some point, we kind of get lost in there, don't we? Like, well, wait a minute. I've been at this for a while, right? Why haven't I figured it out yet? No matter what age you are, right? I think I remember when I was younger, I would say, okay, when I'm 21, no, first when I'm 18, I'll be grown, right? Then when I'm 21, I'll be, okay, when I'm 30, I'll have it figured out. When I'm 40, maybe then I'll be an adult, right? And it's like we're always thinking we're going to get to this point in the future where what we're doing now is working for us. Like, well, maybe I just need more money. Here's a different job. Maybe it's a different partner because that one, come on. Right? So we're constantly trying to arrange the outside world to find joy. But if we actually think about it, if we actually look with wisdom, we can see that those times in our life where we felt joy, it wasn't coming from those external objects. It's coming from within us, right? We may have used those objects to express some type of joy. We may have felt like it brought something out of us. But at the end of the day, if we didn't have any joy in here to reflect back, it wouldn't have been possible. Right? So with all of our experience, if we really reflect on and look with wisdom, any happiness or any joy or any peace that we experience only comes from within. Right? And I always say, like with any of these teachings, just kind of check it out in your own life. Think about your own examples. Like you should never approach this with this idea of, okay, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to accept it 100%, right? Check it out for yourself. Right? Because even think about like what your best case scenario, if someone could tell you what is your perfect day, right? For me, I would say, oh, go to the beach, right? Beach is fine. Another person goes, oh, I don't like the beach. I get sand in my toes. And there's sharks. And so someone can turn your paradise into the most terrifying thing ever, right? And then even if you're on the beach, let's say it rains. You go, oh, well, the beach isn't perfect if it's raining. That's not the kind of beach. I remember first time I went to a beach and it was actually cold. Like the water was cold. And I was expecting this warm water. And I was like, well, this isn't a beach. There's seaweed everywhere. There were bugs in the seaweed. It was cloudy. And I was like, okay, maybe I should stick to the Caribbean beaches, not California beaches. So see, now it's like, well, now it's not a beach. Now I have certain conditions for beach. It has to be sunny. Can't be too hot. Can't be too cold. It has to, and we create all these conditions, right? And we go, unless we get those perfect external conditions, I will not allow myself to experience joy. And how often does that happen? So if we check, right, we're setting all this up in our own mind. So if you think like, and maybe you've also been in a situation where maybe it was raining. And a lot of people don't like the rain, right? So and you're like, oh, it's raining, it's miserable. And you see like a little kid and they're running and it's raining. They're playing, they're stepping in the puddles, right? And they're having fun, they're experiencing joy. And you're like, I gotta drive to work. People are going to be driving crazy. I got to get on 83. There's going to be an accident. Like that's our association with rain. But a kid is like, oh, this is fun. I can go play, right? So again, there's no objective, misery in the condition of rain. And there's no objective pleasure in the condition of beach, right? It's all how we perceive and what we bring to it. So I think that's really important to know that we also have the power to tap into joy just as we have the power to tap into misery, right? And suffering. So if we don't set that intention and that choice, then we just sort of allow ourselves to go with whatever mental habits that we already have. If we check, a lot of times they're not positive, right? Usually people don't come here and say, oh man, you know what? I've had a problem. I've just been too happy every single day. I've been experiencing so much joy. Please help me. This is too much, right? It's usually the other way around. It's like, ooh, I've been suffering a little bit more than I think is okay, right? And if we check, we don't ever really want to suffer, right? I mean, maybe if you're feeling some guilt or some, sadness, depression, but even then you just kind of feel, well, this is what I deserve, right? But no one wants to suffer, you know? But if someone were to come and say, I've been happy every single day, you go, that person's kind of strange. What are they on? What drug are they taking, right? When we take that. But again, if we check, we have the power to tap into that joy in our own mind, just like we just experienced with our own breath, right? Just taking a moment to close your eyes and settle, look within. We probably haven't done that all day, right? Most of us. You got up, what happened? You grabbed your phone, right? Alarm went off. Somebody woke you up, like a noisy neighbor cutting the grass or kids or, significant other or something woke you up, right? And you may not have started your day with an intention to be peaceful and happy, right? You just started. You just got up. Okay, now I gotta go get coffee, gotta get the kids, gotta go to work, gotta do this, gotta take care of this person, gotta get my dog, gotta get my cat, right? And then it's just a constant, and then you're in it. And before you know it, and now you're here. You're like, oh, how did what happened today? But that's how we go, right? And we start a morning like that, then the afternoon, then the day turned the week turns into a month, months turn into, right, years, and then that's our life. We look back and go, wait, what happened? I know I've definitely had those times, especially I think around the time of COVID, which we shall not name, right? But like days just started to run together, right? It was like, what happened to like the separation of, morning, day, week, work day, even, right? Especially if you're working from home, you're like, you wake up, you turn on the computer. When does the day end? When does the work day end? Like, right, your children interrupt you during the day or your pets, right? You don't have any real separation. You just kind of go like that. And before you know it, you're like, what happened? You know, it's all a blur. And we really don't want our lives to go by like that, right? Buddha's saying, like, that's not good enough, right? This constant seeking temporary pleasure and temporarily avoiding pain, that's not it, right? We have much more potential than that. So, this book, How to Transform Your Life, I think it's a great book, especially if you're just starting, if you're new to Buddhism or to our tradition. And it's actually also available as a free download. So, downstairs on the table, we have some cards with that. So if you want to get that on the way out. But I like this book because it really just makes things simple. It's like we have this great potential, and accessing it is not as difficult as we might think it is, right? So I'm going to read here just a few sections from the book. Again, you can feel free to get it later to look into more. There's so much in this book. Um, but specifically, if we're talking about tapping into joyful energy, I think it's important to understand, you know, energetically, right? If you think about like maybe you wake up in a bad mood one day and you're thinking, okay, well, woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I guess it's just going to be a bad day. We just let that take over. But there is this joyful energy available to us. We just have to tap into it, right? So think about like when you turn on a radio. Well, nobody has radios anymore, right? Everything's like streaming, right? But when we had radio, or even streaming, right? Because it does tap into like Wi-Fi signal somewhere. But like when you had radios, like you turn the dial. I'm dating myself, but you guys remember what dials are. You turn the dial and you get a very clear signal. And it's like you hear the news or it's a song you liked or a morning show or something, right? You hear a very clear voice. But if you turn it a little bit the other way, just like a few notches, then it's what, static. You're like, what happened? And just that little adjustment, you're like, oh, wow, that's really clear. I can hear, you know, Lady Gaga singing now, right? Or whatever. But just like a few notches off and it's complete static and distortion. You're like, what is this? It's noise. And it's actually unpleasant, right? We're like, ugh, turn that down, turn it off. Just a few little. So if we think about our minds like that, right? If we wake up and we're just feeling static, right? You're like, "Oh," that's why a lot of times I think we search, we grab our phones and we're looking for a distraction because our minds feel like that static, right? We're like, ugh, what is this? It's busy. It's reminding you of something that happened when you were in elementary school, right? Teacher you didn't like, the guy or girl that didn't want to talk to you. And we're just, you go, where did that come from? Just woke up. Right? But that's how our minds are sometimes, right? It's static, it's noise. But if we just kind of tune that dial a few notches, let me focus on my breath. Let me focus on compassion. Let me focus on love. Let me focus on joy. Find a virtuous object. We move our mind, and suddenly we're in a good mood. We're calm. We're relaxed. We smile, right? And other people notice it. What got into you? Which is, oh, I just took a minute to meditate, kind of get into my mind and tap into some joy before I came out the house today? And it can really be that simple. So I'm just saying to say that it's always available to us. Like that frequency is always there. We just have to tune into it, right? So